You stand there and watch the blue peacock lift his head and scan the surroundings, and in that moment you understand the unique presence of this bird, because his deep blue plumage, the metallic shimmering colors, and the raised crest give him an appearance that has played a role in art, religion, and mythology for centuries, while his natural habitat lies in the forests and open landscapes of the Indian subcontinent, where he lives in small groups, spends most of his time on the ground, and is easily noticed through his loud calls and striking presence both in nature and near human settlements. When you watch the blue peacock for a longer time, you notice how his behavior shifts between calm and sudden alertness, because he usually moves slowly and deliberately, stops again and again to listen and observe before taking a few quick steps forward. And this interplay of restraint and presence makes him an animal that impresses not only through its colors, but also through the way it moves through space, capturing human imagination for centuries. The blue peacock is one of the oldest culturally revered bird species in the world, because in India, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar has been considered a symbol of beauty, pride, and spiritual purity for centuries. It is a national bird of India, appears in temple complexes, royal courts, and ancient festival traditions, is associated in religious depictions with deities such as Courtship, and with its size of up to 2.30 meters when displaying its full train and its deep blue breast plumage, plays a significant role in art, mythology, and heraldry across many regions. In many countries, a peacock is not only admired but also celebrated in festivals and rituals, because on certain days people decorate temples with peacock feathers, sell souvenirs featuring its image, use its motif in textiles and jewelry, and regard it as a bringer of good fortune, while at the same time it lives freely in open landscapes, forests, and temple gardens, moves mostly on the ground, and has been part of cultural daily life for centuries through its loud calls and striking behavior. The blue peacock is one of the largest flying birds of the Indian subcontinent, because adult males reach a total length of up to 2.30 meters when displaying their full train, with the body itself being much smaller and the impressive size created mainly by the elongated upper tail coverage that play a central role in courtship, and whose characteristic eye spots form one of the most recognizable feather patterns in the world, while the peacock lives in open forests, scrublands, agricultural areas, and temple complexes, and spends most of its time on the ground. In many regions of Asia, the peacock is not only a natural species, but also a fixed part of cultural life, because it appears on coats of arms, in religious depictions on historical buildings, and in traditional festivals where people use peacock feathers as decoration, sell souvenirs featuring its image, and regard the bird as a symbol of luck, purity, and protection, giving the peacock a significance in both the wild and cultural traditions that has been preserved for centuries. 1. The blue peacock displays its most famous behavior during courtship, because the male raises a long upper tail coverts into a large fan, turns slowly in a circle, makes the feathers vibrate, and produces a soft rustling sound, while the characteristic eye spots shine in the light, and the female decides through this visual and acoustic presentation whether she will follow the male, making this ritual one of the most impressive natural spectacles described for centuries and a symbol of beauty and grace in many cultures. In addition to courtship, the peacock is also known for its loud calls, which can be heard over long distances and serve both communication within the group and warning of danger, with these calls having been part of daily life in temple complexes, villages, and open landscapes for centuries, and contributing to the fact that the peacock is perceived in many regions not only as a decorative animal, but as a fixed part of the environment closely connected to human settlements. The blue peacock is an integral part of religious and cultural traditions in many regions of Asia, because it appears in Hindu temples as a companion animal of the god Courtship, is used in Buddhist depictions as a symbol of wisdom and purity, is documented in historical royal courts as a sign of power and prosperity, is found on old coats of arms and emblems, is honored with peacock feathers during traditional festivals and has become a motif in textiles, jewelry, souvenirs, and religious ceremonies for centuries due to its striking appearance. In many countries, there are specific days on which the peacock is celebrated because people decorate temples with its feathers, wear clothing featuring peacock motifs, buy handcrafted souvenirs showing its image, and use it as a cultural symbol representing luck, protection, and spiritual purity, while free-living peacocks can be seen in temple complexes and gardens, giving the bird significance in both everyday life and religious practice that has been preserved across generations. The blue peacock has been a motif of artistic and craft traditions for centuries because its image appears on painted ceramics, carved wooden panels, embroidered fabrics, metal jewelry, and religious offerings, with the characteristic eye spots of its plumage adopted as patterns in textiles and ornaments, and regarded in many regions as symbols of protection and good fortune, giving the peacock significance not only in nature, but also in craftsmanship passed down through generations. In tourist regions of the Indian subcontinent, the peacock is often used as a cultural symbol because vendors sell figurines, wall art, painted feathers, small metal sculptures, and traditional fabrics featuring peacock motifs, while temple complexes and historical sites are frequently decorated with depictions of the bird, allowing visitors to experience the peacock both as a living animal and as a cultural emblem deeply rooted in the history and daily life of the people. The blue peacock is kept as a free-roaming animal in many zoos because it moves easily between paths, lawns, and visitor areas, requires no special enclosure, spends most of its time on the ground, uses short flights only for roosting or escape, and, due to its striking colors and calm behavior, is one of the animals visitors immediately notice, leading zoos to use it as a living element in park landscapes where it displays natural behavior that gives people a direct impression of the species. In historical zoos and large park complexes, the peacock is often intentionally included as part of the design because its presence recalls traditional temple gardens and ancient royal courts, while it is also considered a robust and adaptable species that coexists well with other animals, regularly uses elevated sleeping places, and, through its loud calls and distinctive appearance, has become a consistent part of daily zoo life. In the early modern period, the peacock was kept as an exotic status symbol in European palace gardens, listed in Habsburg and Bourbon inventories as part of court menageries, described in 17th century travel accounts as an example of expanding colonial animal imports, documented in Enlightenment natural history works as a studied specimen, mentioned in botanical garden records across several regions, included in early zoological catalogs as a representative species, and referenced in descriptions of court festivities as a decorative and prestigious animal. During the colonial era, peacock feathers were exported through Indian and Southeast Asian ports to Europe, recorded as luxury goods in East India Company inventories, used as decorative elements in court ceremonies, incorporated into 18th century fashion as markers of social status, process and artistic crafts, and interior decoration, described in trade reports as stable high-value merchandise, and preserved in private collections of wealthy families as representative objects. The peacock in art and literature. Antiquity. Peacocks appear on Roman mosaics, tomb paintings, and vessels as symbols of beauty and permanence. Middle Ages. In illuminated manuscripts and bestiaries, the peacock represents vanity, but also renewal through its annual feather change. Early modern period. In paintings and still lives of the 17th and 18th centuries, it is shown as an exotic prestige object and described in tales and stories as a proud, conspicuous animal. The peacock in power and status. Courts. In European and Asian residences, peacocks were kept in gardens and enclosures to display wealth and influence. Nobility. Festival accounts mention them as part of lavish animal processions and as rare dishes at banquets. Bourgeoisie. In later centuries, they appear in villa gardens, on porcelain, and in interior decoration, marking elevated social standing. The film presents the historical, cultural, and religious significance of the peacock by combining its role in mythology and sacred symbolism, its appearance in ancient, medieval, and early modern art, its function as an emblem of power and social rank, its presence in royal gardens and ceremonial descriptions, and its connection to deities, rituals, trade networks, and regional traditions, showing how this animal has been understood for thousands of years as a sign of beauty, protection, status, and spiritual meaning. The documentary unites historical records, religious writings, artistic representations, trade documents, and cultural narratives into a coherent overview that illustrates how the peacock is revered as a sacred creature, used as a political symbol, valued as a decorative motif, circulated as a luxury commodity, and perceived as an expression of prestige and spiritual strength across different parts of the world, revealing its exceptional place in human history. As we come to the end of this film, I want to thank every viewer, because it matters to me that people find content that offers calm moments, clear explanations, or simply a space to listen and breathe. And I hope this film has provided a bit of clarity and perhaps shown how fascinating the world can be when we take the time to look a little closer. I know that everyone carries their own thoughts and questions through life, and sometimes a film can create a moment where you feel understood or realize that you are not alone with your reflections. And this film helped make a topic more accessible or offered a sense of calm that is often missing in everyday life. Then that means a great deal to me. Many people look for information that is not loud but explained in a clear and human way. And if this film achieved that, it shows that such content has value and that it is important to tell things in a way that anyone can understand, without pressure, without rush, and without complicated language, but simply in a way that feels inviting and easy to follow. I hope this film has helped make the world a little more understandable, because sometimes a quiet moment is enough to grasp something that once felt confusing. And these are the moments I want to create with my films, so that every viewer feels they've taken something meaningful away, no matter how big or small that thought may be. To finish, I kindly ask all viewers to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the bell, because every bit of support helps create new films and keep this knowledge available for everyone. And I want to thank each person for their time, their attention, and their willingness to join me on this journey, because that is what keeps this work alive and makes it possible to tell new stories.